The cosmic classroom. The Galactic Academy of Xenosciences floated serenely in the purple-tinged void of the Andromeda Nebula. Its crystalline spires and bio-organic domes glittered under the light of 1,000 distant stars. Inside one of its myriad lecture halls, Professor Zixleria adjusted her gravity modulators, her tentacles rippling with anticipation. "Attention, class," she burbled, her translator converting her aqueous speech into standard galactic common. "Today marks a historic moment in our Academy's illustrious history. We welcome our first student from the newly discovered species known as humans." A chorus of clicks, whistles, and pheromone releases filled the air as a diverse array of alien students expressed their excitement and trepidation. Rumors had been swirling about these humans ever since their planet, Earth, had been discovered on the fringes of the Milky Way. "Now, I expect you all to be on your best behavior," Zixleria continued, her chromatophores flashing warning patterns. "Remember, Earth is classified as a Class 13 Deathworld. Our new classmate has survived conditions that would liquefy most of you in seconds." A collective shudder ran through the classroom. Gloop, a sentient slime mold, oozed closer to his desk in fear. The doors to the lecture hall slid open with a soft hiss, and in walked a figure that seemed paradoxically ordinary and extraordinary. The human stood on 2 legs, had 2 arms, and a head with a tuft of brown fur on top. Its skin was a pale pink, devoid of scales, chitinous plates, or even a proper exoskeleton. "Hello," the human said, its voice surprisingly melodious. "I'm Sarah Chen. It's an honor to be here." Professor Zixeloria's tentacles twirled in what passed for a smile in her species. "Welcome, Sarah. Please tell the class a bit about yourself and your homeworld." Sarah took a deep breath, her chest expanding in a way that made several gas-based life forms in the room vibrate sympathetically. "Well, I'm from Earth, as you know. I'm 20 years old, and I'm the first of my species to study at the Galactic Academy. Earth is, well, it's home. It's beautiful, terrifying, and ever-changing." A student toward the back, a crystalline being named Thar, raised a faceted appendage. "Is it true that your planet is constantly trying to kill you?" Sarah laughed, a sound that startled half the class. "That's a bit of an exaggeration, but life on Earth can be challenging. We have extreme weather, tectonic plate movements, and a wide variety of climates and ecosystems." "But how do you survive?" asked Gloop, his gelatinous form quivering. "We adapt," Sarah said simply. "Humans are incredibly adaptable. We've learned to live in almost every environment on our planet, from scorching deserts to frozen tundras." Professor Zixleria interjected, her tentacles waving excitedly. "Perhaps a demonstration would be enlightening. Sarah, would you mind sharing some of your planet's conditions with the class?" Sarah nodded, reaching into her bag and pulling out a small device. With a few taps, a holographic display sprang to life in the center of the room. The alien students watched in fascination and horror as images of Earth flashed before them, raging wildfires, towering tsunamis, violent hurricanes, and rumbling volcanoes. "These are some of the natural phenomena we deal with on Earth," Sarah explained. "Fire, water, wind, and earth, the classical elements we once called them. Each can be destructive, but they're also essential to our planet's ecosystems." Zar's crystalline structure vibrated in what might have been a shudder. "And you just live with these conditions?" Sarah nodded. "We do more than live with them. We study them, we prepare for them, and sometimes we even chase them." "Chase them?" Professor Zixeloria's chromatophores flashed in confusion. "Oh yes," Sarah grinned. "We have people called storm chasers who follow tornadoes to study them up close. Volcanologists who descend into active volcanoes. Deep-sea explorers who venture into the crushing depths of our oceans." The class erupted in a cacophony of shocked exclamations. Gloop had to quickly divide himself to avoid dissolving in stress. "But why?" asked the avian being, its feathers ruffling in agitation. "Why take such risks?" Sarah's eyes sparkled with an emotion the aliens couldn't quite comprehend. Curiosity, the desire to understand, the thrill of discovery. It's part of who we are as a species. We see a mountain, we want to climb it. We see an ocean, we want to cross it. We see a planet, we want to explore it. Professor Zixiloria's tentacles curled thoughtfully. Fascinating. It seems your species has evolved a unique psychological adaptation to your harsh environment. You've turned survival into a form of recreation. Sarah considered this. I suppose you could see it that way, but it's more than that. It's about pushing boundaries, overcoming challenges. It's how we've progressed as a species. A new voice chimed in, this one belonging to Zorn, an energy being confined within a containment suit. But surely your technology protects you from these dangers now. Sarah shook her head. Our technology helps, certainly. We can predict weather patterns, build structures to withstand earthquakes, create protective gear for extreme environments. But we don't use technology to avoid challenges, we use it to face them more effectively. The holographic display changed, showing humans in various environments, scuba divers deep underwater, mountaineers scaling sheer cliffs, astronauts floating in the void of space. This is how we explore, how we learn, how we grow, Sarah explained. Every challenge we overcome teaches us something new, not just about our world, but about ourselves. The alien students watched in a mixture of awe and disbelief. The idea of voluntarily facing such dangers was utterly foreign to most of them. Professor Zixiloria's chromatophores flashed in a pattern indicating deep thought. Sarah, in your application to the Academy, you mentioned that humanity has a concept called hope. Could you explain this to the class? Sarah's expression softened. Hope is, it's belief in the face of adversity. It's what drives us to keep trying even when things seem impossible. It's the spark that ignites our determination, our creativity, our will to survive and thrive. The classroom was silent, each student trying to grasp this alien concept. Let me give you an example, Sarah continued. Centuries ago, our planet faced a crisis. Our reliance on fossil fuels was changing our climate, threatening our very existence. Many thought it was too late, that we were doomed, but we didn't give up. We hoped, and that hope drove us to action. The holographic display changed again, showing the transformation of Earth's cities and landscapes, from small choked metropolises to gleaming eco-friendly arcologies, from barren wastelands to thriving reforested regions. We revolutionized our energy production, our agriculture, our entire way of life, Sarah said, her voice filled with pride. It wasn't easy. It took generations. But we did it because we refused to give up hope. Bazar's crystalline structure vibrated in a frequency indicating awe. Your species transformed your entire planet. Sarah nodded. We had to, and in doing so, we learned so much. We developed technologies that allowed us to terraform Mars, to establish colonies on Europa and Titan. Our struggle with Earth's climate gave us the knowledge and tools to adapt to other worlds. Professor Zixiloria's tentacles were practically tied in knots from excitement. Extraordinary. It seems that your species' greatest strength isn't your physical adaptability, but your mental and emotional resilience. I suppose so, Sarah said thoughtfully. We have a saying on Earth, necessity is the mother of invention. Our challenges have driven our progress. Every problem we've faced has pushed us to become more than we were. Gloop, who had finally managed to pull himself together, oozed forward. But don't you ever wish for a safer, more stable world? Sarah smiled. Sometimes. But then I think about all we've accomplished because of our world's challenges. Would we have ever looked to the stars if our own planet hadn't pushed us to our limits? Would we be here, in this classroom, if we hadn't learned to adapt, to hope, to dream of something beyond our own world? The alien students exchanged glances, their various appendages and sensory organs conveying a mix of emotions, fear, admiration, curiosity. Professor Zixiloria's chromatophores flashed in a pattern indicating a conclusion. Well, class, I think we've all learned something profound today. It seems that life on a Deathworld doesn't just produce survivors, it produces innovators, explorers, dreamers. She turned to Sarah. Thank you for this illuminating presentation. I believe your presence here will challenge us all to think differently about adaptation, resilience, and the nature of intelligence itself. As the class ended and the alien students filed out, many of them looked at Sarah with new eyes. She was no longer just a curiosity from a dangerous world, she was a symbol of possibility, of potential that could arise from the harshest of conditions. Sarah gathered her things, her heart full of excitement for the adventures to come. She'd had taken the first step in bridging the gap between her world and the galactic community. And as she looked out the window at the star-studded expanse of the Andromeda Nebula, she felt that familiar surge of hope. Hope for understanding, for friendship, for a future where humanity and alien species could learn from each other and face the universe's challenges together. Little did she know that her greatest test, and humanity's greatest contribution to the galactic community, was just around the corner. Trials of Terror. The weeks following Sarah Chen's arrival at the Galactic Academy of Xenosciences were a whirlwind of new experiences, both for her and for her alien classmates. As the first human to study at the Academy, Sarah found herself the subject of intense curiosity and occasionally wariness. It was during Professor Zixeloria's Extreme Environment Adaptation class that Sarah's unique background truly came into play. The cavernous laboratory was filled with simulated environments from across the galaxy, each more inhospitable than the last. Today, Professor Zixeloria announced, her tentacles rippling with excitement, "We will be conducting practical exercises in hostile environment survival. You will be grouped into teams and assigned a random extreme environment. Your task is to develop a survival strategy using only the tools and knowledge you have at your disposal." The alien students chittered and bubbled with nervous energy. Sarah felt a mix of anticipation and anxiety as she was assigned to a team with Tsar, the crystalline being, and Gloop, the sentient slime mold. Your environment is... Professor Zixeloria paused for dramatic effect, a Class 9 volcanic world with high gravity, toxic atmosphere, and frequent electromagnetic storms. Tsar's facets dimmed in dismay, while Gloop quivered so violently he nearly split in two. Sarah, however, felt a surge of excitement. "That's not so bad," she said, earning incredulous looks from her teammates. "It's actually pretty similar to some of the more extreme environments on Earth. We can work with this." As they entered the simulation chamber, the world around them transformed. The ground beneath their feet became rough, black basalt, crisscrossed with glowing veins of lava. The air shimmered with heat and noxious gases, while the increased gravity made every movement a struggle. Tsar's crystalline body creaked under the strain. "This is impossible. How can any life form survive in such conditions?" Sarah, already sweating but undaunted, grinned. "Life finds a way. On Earth, we have organisms that thrive in volcanic vents at the bottom of our oceans. The pressure there is enormous, and the water is near boiling point and full of toxic chemicals." Gloop, who had flattened himself against the ground to cope with the gravity, burbled skeptically. "But we're not microscopic extremophiles. How can we possibly survive here?" Sarah's mind raced, drawing on her knowledge of Earth's geology and the survival skills that were part of every human's basic education. "Okay, let's break this down. First, we need shelter from the heat and toxic atmosphere." She scanned the landscape, her eyes lighting up as she spotted a formation in the distance. "There, see that lava tube? It's been cooled and drained. It'll provide protection from the surface conditions and might even have a more breathable microclimate." As they made their way towards the lava tube, struggling against the gravity and dodging spurts of lava, Sarah continued to explain her thinking. In high-gravity environments, it's crucial to conserve energy. We'll need to adapt our movements, maybe even develop some sort of exoskeleton or gravity nullification device for long-term survival. Whose crystalline form was better suited to the high pressure than the others, helped support Gloop as they moved. What about the electromagnetic storms? They could fry any technology we develop. Sarah nodded, her brow furrowed in concentration. Good point. We'll need to come up with some sort of Faraday cage design for our equipment. Maybe we could even harness the electromagnetic energy as a power source. As they reached the relative safety of the lava tube, all three teammates breathed a sigh of relief, even Gloop, who didn't technically need to breathe. Impressive thinking, Sarah admitted, his facets glowing with newfound respect. But how did you come up with these solutions so quickly? Sarah shrugged, a gesture that confused her alien companions. This is the kind of thing we train for on Earth. Not this exact scenario, of course, but we're taught to approach survival situations methodically, assess the threats, prioritize needs, and use the environment to our advantage. Gloop, who had reformed into a more comfortable shape in the cooler environment of the cave, burbled thoughtfully. It's as if your entire species is prepared for disaster at all times. Not exactly, Sarah laughed. But we do have a saying, hope for the best, prepare for the worst. It's served us well over the centuries. As they continued to work on their survival strategy, Sarah's mind drifted to some of the other challenges she faced since arriving at the academy. There had been the incident in the zero-gravity gymnasium, where she'd surprised everyone with her adaptability to weightlessness, a result of Earth's space program's rigorous training regimens. Then there was a time in xenobiology class when she calmly handled a creature that most of her classmates found terrifying, simply because it reminded her of a particularly grumpy cat she'd once owned. Each challenge had been an opportunity to showcase humanity's unique strengths, but also to learn from her alien peers. She'd been amazed by Xar's ability to refract harmful radiation, and had watched in awe as Gloop divided himself to solve complex mathematical equations in parallel. A sudden tremor brought Sarah back to the present. The ground beneath them shook violently, and the air filled with an ominous rumbling. Seismic activity, Sarah said, her voice calm despite the danger. We need to brace ourselves and be prepared to move quickly if necessary. Xar's crystalline form vibrated with fear. Move where? There's nowhere safe in this inferno. Sarah's mind raced, recalling documentaries about volcanologists on Earth. Actually, the safest place might be counterintuitive. If this eruption goes full scale, we might need to get as close to the lava flow as possible. Are your neural pathways scrambled? Gloop exclaimed, his form rippling with shock. How could moving closer to molten rock possibly be safe? It's about heat distribution, Sarah explained quickly as the tremors intensified. The edges of a lava flow cool quickly, forming a semi-solid crust. If we can get on top of that crust, it'll act as insulation from the full heat of the flow beneath. It's risky, but it might be our best chance if the entire area becomes unstable. Before her teammates could argue, a holographic display appeared in front of them. Professor Zixilaria's image flickered into view, her tentacles waving in approval. Excellent work, team, she burbled. Especially you, Sarah. Your solution showcases the kind of adaptive thinking we hoped to see. The simulation is now complete. As the volcanic hellscape faded away, replaced by the sterile white of the laboratory, Sarah's teammates looked at her with a mixture of awe and lingering concern. I still think your plan was insane, Xar said, his facets flickering rapidly, but I can't deny its effectiveness. Is this truly how humans approach problems? By running towards danger? Sarah considered this as they exited the simulation chamber. Not always towards danger, but certainly not always away from it. We've learned that sometimes the greatest discoveries, the most effective solutions, lie in the heart of the challenge itself. Gloop, who had been uncharacteristically quiet, finally spoke up. I believe I'm beginning to understand why your species has achieved so much in such a short time. You don't just survive your world's hostility, you thrive on it. As they rejoined the rest of the class, Sarah noticed a change in how her fellow students looked at her. The fear and wariness was still there, but now tempered with respect and curiosity. Professor Zixilaria addressed the class, her chromatophores flashing patterns of excitement. Today's exercise has demonstrated a crucial lesson. Survival in extreme environments isn't just about physical adaptations or technological solutions. It's about mindset, creativity, and the ability to see opportunities where others see only obstacles. She gestured towards Sarah with a tentacle. Our human colleague has shown us a perspective that many of us, evolved in more stable environments, struggle to grasp. The notion that challenges are not just obstacles to be overcome, but opportunities for growth and innovation. Sarah felt a warmth in her chest that had nothing to do with the lingering effects of the volcanic simulation. For the first time since arriving at the academy, she felt truly seen and understood. As the class dispersed, chattering excitedly about the day's lessons, Sarah approached Sarah. "I admit, I had my doubts about you when you first arrived," the crystalline being said, its facets glowing softly. "I couldn't understand how a species from such a volatile world could have anything to teach us. I see now that I was wrong." Sarah smiled, touched by the admission. "We all have something to learn from each other, Sarah. Your ability to withstand pressure and refract radiation is incredible. I'm excited to see how we might apply that to some of the challenges we face on Earth." As they walked together towards the Academy's central atrium, Sarah's mind buzzed with possibilities. She'd come to the Galactic Academy of Xenosciences to learn, but she was beginning to realize that she had just as much to teach. The atrium was a marvel of alien architecture, its soaring ceilings alive with bioluminescent creatures that served as both decoration and lighting. In the center, a holographic display of the known galaxy rotated slowly, pinpricks of light representing countless worlds and civilizations. Sarah paused, gazing at the tiny speck of light that represented Earth. It seemed so small, so insignificant in the vastness of the galaxy. And yet, she said to Xar, "Looking at this, I can't help but think about how far we've come. A few centuries ago, we thought we were alone in the universe. Now we're here, learning and working alongside beings from across the galaxy." Xar's crystalline form shimmered in what Sarah had come to recognize as a gesture of agreement. "It is quite remarkable. Though I must admit, the idea of venturing to a world like yours still terrifies me." Sarah laughed. "That's okay. Earth can be pretty scary, even for us sometimes. But that's what makes it exciting too. There's always something new to discover, some new challenge to overcome." As they stood there, contemplating the holographic galaxy, a commotion near the atrium's entrance caught their attention. A group of students was gathered around a news holofeed, their various appendages and sensory organs conveying alarm and concern. Sarah and Xar hurried over to see what was happening. The holofeed showed images of a massive stellar phenomenon, a swirling vortex of cosmic energy that seemed to be tearing apart the very fabric of space. "Unprecedented event in the Cygnus arm," a multi-voiced harmonic translator was saying. "Scientists are calling it a hyperdimensional rift. Several populated systems are in immediate danger, and the rift appears to be expanding at an alarming rate." Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. She'd never seen anything like it, even in the most advanced astrophysics simulations back on Earth. Xar's facets had dulled to a worried gray. "This is terrible. Those systems, they don't have the technology to evacuate quickly enough." As the news continued to detail the unfolding crisis, Sarah's mind was already racing, analyzing the problem from multiple angles, considering and discarding potential solutions. It was a habit ingrained in her from years of Earth's education system, which emphasized critical thinking and problem-solving above all else. A small voice in the back of her mind whispered that this crisis, horrifying as it was, might be the perfect opportunity to show the galaxy what humanity was truly capable of. Little did Sarah know that this cosmic calamity would soon put all of her skills, and the very essence of human ingenuity, to the ultimate test. As Sarah and Xar stood transfixed by the dire news, the atrium erupted into a flurry of activity. Students and faculty from diverse species hurried about, some rushing to contact loved ones in potentially affected systems, others already forming impromptu research groups to analyze the phenomenon. Sarah's mind raced, piecing together everything she knew about hyperdimensional physics and cosmic phenomena. Earth's scientists have theorized about events like this, but seeing it actually happen was both terrifying and exhilarating. "Sir," she said, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation, "we need to get to the Advanced Astrophysics Lab. I have an idea, but I'll need access to the quantum simulators." Xar's crystalline form vibrated with a mix of concern and curiosity. "What are you thinking, Sarah? The greatest minds in the galaxy are surely already working on this." "Maybe," Sarah replied, already moving towards the lab, "but they might be missing something. On Earth we have a saying, fresh eyes can see old problems in new ways. Come on." As they navigated the now crowded corridors of the Academy, Sarah explained her thinking. The rift isn't just tearing space, it's warping time too. If we can create a cascading tachyon field around the affected systems, we might be able to slow down time relative to the expanding rift. It won't stop it, but it could buy those worlds precious time to evacuate. Xar's facets shimmered with dawning realization. But generating a field of that magnitude, it would require more energy than most civilizations can produce in a century. Sarah grinned, a spark of excitement in her eyes. "That's where Earth comes in. We've been experimenting with zero-point energy extraction. It's highly theoretical, but if it works, we could channel enough power to create the field." They burst into the astrophysics lab, startling a group of multi-limbed Arcturian researchers huddled around a holographic model of the rift. Sarah quickly explained her idea, her words tumbling out in a rush of technical jargon and inspired leaps of logic. At first, the Arcturians were skeptical, their tentacles waving in dismissal. But as Sarah broke down the mathematics and outlined the potential of Earth's zero-point energy research, their bioluminescent patches began to pulse with growing excitement. One of the senior researchers, a being of pure energy contained within a specialized suit, floated forward. "This is unprecedented, but the theory is sound. If your world can truly harness zero-point energy, this plan might work." Sarah nodded, her determination evident. "We'll need to contact Earth immediately. And we'll need help, the finest minds from every world represented here at the Academy." As the lab burst into action, Sarah felt a mix of pride and trepidation. This crisis would push the boundaries of science and cooperation like never before. But as she looked around at the diverse array of beings, all working together towards a common goal, she knew that this was exactly why humanity had reached for the stars. The next few hours were a blur of frantic calculations, heated debates in a dozen different languages, and hurried communications with Earth. Sarah found herself at the center of it all, her quick thinking and ability to bridge different scientific approaches proving invaluable. As the plan began to take shape, Sarah caught Xar's eye across the crowded lab. The crystalline being's facets were shimmering with an emotion Sarah couldn't quite identify. Was it pride? Awe? Or perhaps a newfound respect not just for Sarah, but for humanity as a whole? Whatever it was, Sarah knew that this crisis was more than just a test of their scientific prowess. It was a chance to show the galaxy that humanity, despite its relative youth among the stars, had something unique and valuable to offer. And as the first simulations of their audacious plan flickered to life on the lab's holo-displays, Sarah allowed herself a moment of hope. The hardest part was yet to come, but for now they had a fighting chance. And sometimes, Sarah mused as she dove back into the work, that's all humanity had ever needed to achieve the impossible. The room buzzed with a palpable energy as a diverse team of scientists and researchers from across the galaxy worked feverishly to refine their audacious plan. Sarah found herself at the heart of it all, her mind racing as she juggled complex equations, alien technologies, and the monumental task of coordinating efforts across vastly different scientific paradigms. As the hours ticked by, progress was made in leaps and bounds. The Arcturians' mastery of spatial mathematics melded seamlessly with Earth's pioneering work in zero-point energy extraction. Meanwhile, the energy beings contributed their unparalleled understanding of subspace dynamics, crucial for predicting the rift's behavior. Kvar, hovering nearby, served as a literal and figurative prism, refracting ideas between different species and helping to bridge communication gaps. Their crystalline structure vibrated with an almost musical hum as they processed vast amounts of data, occasionally chiming in with insights that left even the most seasoned researchers in awe. Suddenly, a commotion near the main holo display drew everyone's attention. A team of Volprin scientists, their gaseous forms swirling with excitement, had just completed a series of simulations that showed promising results. "We've done it," exclaimed the lead Volprin researcher, their voice a melodious whisper that nonetheless carried throughout the lab. The model predicts a 78% chance of success in containing the rift using the modified zero-point energy field. A cheer went up from the assembled beings, a cacophony of sounds ranging from human whoops to the subsonic rumbles of the silicon-based life forms. Sarah felt a wave of relief wash over her, but she knew their work was far from over. "This is incredible progress," she said, her voice cutting through the celebratory noise. "But we need to push that success rate higher, and more importantly, we need to figure out how to implement this on a practical scale." The room quieted as the reality of the challenge ahead sank in. Theory was one thing, but actually constructing a device capable of harnessing and directing zero-point energy on such a massive scale was another matter entirely. "We'll need to coordinate with Earth's top engineering firms," Sarah continued, her mind already racing ahead. "And we'll need resources, rare materials from a dozen different worlds." Xar floated forward, their crystalline form refracting the lab's lights in a dazzling display. "I believe I can be of assistance there," they said, their modulated voice carrying a hint of pride. "My people have extensive mining operations in the Andromeda Galaxy. We can provide many of the exotic materials you'll need." Other representatives stepped forward, offering resources, expertise, and technology from their respective worlds. Sarah felt a lump form in her throat as she witnessed this unprecedented show of galactic cooperation. As the team began to break into smaller groups to tackle specific aspects of the project, Sarah felt a gentle tap on her shoulder. She turned to find Professor Zix, the venerable Arcturian dean of the Academy, regarding her with an expression she had learned to read as deep respect. "You've done something remarkable here, Sarah," the professor said, their tentacles weaving intricate patterns in the air. "Not just in terms of the scientific breakthrough, but in bringing us all together like this. It's a testament to the unique perspective humanity brings to the galactic community." Sarah nodded, feeling a mix of pride and humility. "We're just doing what we've always done, facing impossible odds with determination and creativity. But we couldn't do this alone. This is a victory for all of us." As she turned back to the bustling lab, Sarah caught sight of Earth on one of the large view screens, a beautiful blue marble suspended in the vast darkness of space. In that moment, she felt the weight of her responsibility more keenly than ever. They weren't just fighting to save the Academy or even their corner of the galaxy. They were fighting for every being on every world that might be affected by the growing rift. With renewed determination, Sarah plunged back into the work. The next few days would be crucial, filled with sleepless nights, breakthrough moments, and undoubtedly setbacks. But as she looked around at the incredible array of beings, all working together towards a common goal, Sarah knew that they had already achieved something truly remarkable. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them united, a shining example of what could be accomplished when the galaxy's greatest minds came together in the pursuit of knowledge and the preservation of life itself. As we approach the final scene of this story, let's set the stage for a climactic and emotionally resonant conclusion. I'll craft a scene that brings together the themes of interstellar cooperation, scientific innovation, and humanity's unique role in the galactic community. Here's the last scene. The vast amphitheater of the Galactic Academy was filled to capacity, a sea of diverse beings from across the cosmos. The air thronged with anticipation as representatives from hundreds of worlds waited for the announcement. Sarah stood backstage, her heart pounding. She glanced at the small team beside her, Saar, Professor Zix, and key members from a dozen different species who had become more than colleagues over the past weeks of intense work. They had become friends, confidants, and a testament to what could be achieved through unity. A hush fell over the crowd as the Academy's Chancellor, a being of pure thought and energy, materialized at the podium. Esteemed beings of the galaxy, the Chancellor's voice resonated, not through sound, but directly into the minds of all present. We stand at a pivotal moment in our shared history. The rift that threatened to tear our universe asunder has been sealed. A deafening roar of celebration erupted from the audience, a cacophony of joy expressed in countless alien ways. Sarah felt tears prick at her eyes as the Chancellor continued. This victory belongs to all of us, but we owe a special debt of gratitude to the team that made it possible, led by a representative of one of our youngest spacefaring species, Sarah Chen of Earth. As Sarah stepped onto the stage, bathed in the glow of 1,000 bioluminescent life forms, she was struck by the enormity of the moment. The applause was overwhelming, but it was the looks of genuine respect and admiration from beings far more ancient and advanced than humanity that truly humbled her. "Thank you," Sarah began, her voice carrying across the amphitheater. "But I stand here not as an individual, but as a symbol of what we can achieve together." That's theoretical work on zero-point energy with just one piece of the puzzle. It was the Arcturians' spatial mathematics, the Volcrins' plasma dynamics, the crystalline collective's exotic materials, and contributions from countless others that made this possible. She paused, looking out at the sea of faces, some humanoid, others utterly alien. We faced an existential threat, and in doing so, we discovered something profound about ourselves. We are stronger together. The diversity of our thoughts, our cultures, our very biology, these are not obstacles to be overcome, but our greatest strength. As Sarah spoke, holographic displays around the amphitheater showed images of the sealed rift, the monumental machinery that channeled zero-point energy on a cosmic scale, and the countless beings who had worked tirelessly to make it a reality. Today, we've done more than save our corner of the cosmos. Sarah continued, her voice filled with emotion. We've forged bonds between worlds that will last for generations. We've shown that the spirit of scientific inquiry and the power of cooperation can overcome even the greatest challenges. She turned to her team, gesturing for them to join her. As they stood together, a living tableau of galactic diversity, Sarah felt a profound sense of hope for the future. "This is just the beginning," she said, her eyes shining. "Together, there's no limit to what we can achieve. The stars themselves are no longer the limit. They're just the start of our shared journey." As the amphitheater erupted in another round of thunderous applause, Sarah felt a gentle touch on her shoulder. She turned to seek Saar, their crystalline form shimmering with emotion. "You've made your people proud," Saar said, their voice resonating with warmth. "But more than that, you've made the galaxy proud. Welcome to a new era of cosmic cooperation." Sarah smiled, looking out at the celebrating crowd and then up through the amphitheater's transparent dome to the star-filled sky beyond. Somewhere out there was Earth, a small blue marble that had played a crucial role in this galactic drama. As the celebration continued around her, Sarah felt a profound sense of belonging. Humanity had found its place among the stars, not through conquest or technological superiority, but through the very qualities that had always defined the best of their species: curiosity, creativity, and an unwavering spirit of cooperation in the face of adversity. The rift was sealed, but a new chapter in galactic history had just begun, and Sarah knew that whatever challenges the universe held in store, they would face them together, a united cosmos, boundless in its diversity and limitless in its potential.